Shadows among the stars. The vast observation deck of the Galactic Confederation flagship Eternal Vigilance offered an unobstructed view of the swirling nebula before them. Admiral Theros stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, his silver-scaled skin reflecting the distant starlight. The Diluvian commander's compound eyes narrowed as he studied the anomalous energy readings scrolling across the holographic display. "Impossible," he muttered, mandibles clicking with agitation. "These signatures match no known species in Confederation records." Science Director Vel Nera floated beside him, her translucent body pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed her excitement. "The void of silence has always been avoided by our navigators, Admiral. The gravitational distortions make it treacherous. But these energy signatures, they're artificial. Someone is in there." For centuries, the region had been designated as a dead zone, a vast emptiness between spiral arms where no intelligent life had been detected. Most ships avoided it due to the strange spatial anomalies that plagued navigation systems and occasionally caused vessels to disappear without a trace. "Inform the High Council," Theros decided. "We're assembling an expedition fleet." 3 weeks later, a contingent of 20 Confederation vessels approached the edge of the void. The Eternal Vigilance led the formation, its sensors probing the darkness ahead. As they penetrated deeper into the region, their instruments began detecting structures, artificial constructs of immense proportions floating silently in the void. "Magnify," ordered Theros, his voice hushed with awe. The main view screen shifted to show a massive orbital station. Its design was unfamiliar, sleek yet functional, with no aesthetic flourishes common to Confederation architecture. Most striking was its size, easily 10 times larger than the Confederation's largest space dock. "Scans indicate the station is powered and occupied," reported the sensor officer, a Xylante whose gelatinous form trembled slightly. "Admiral, we're detecting biological signatures consistent with humans." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. Humans were a species known only from historical archives, a primitive race that had allegedly been wiped out during the Cleansing War 3,000 years ago. According to official records, they had barely achieved spaceflight before encountering the early Confederation species and had been deemed too aggressive and unpredictable to join galactic society. "That's not possible," Theros finally said. "Humans are extinct. Their homeworld was sterilized during the final campaign." As if in response to his words, a communication request flashed across their systems, bypassing their encryption protocols with disturbing ease. Before Theros could give the order to accept, the main view screen changed to show the face of a human female. "Confederation vessel," she said in perfect galactic standard. "You have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Theros struggled to maintain his composure. The human appeared calm, professional, not at all like the savage warriors depicted in historical accounts. Her skin was brown, her black hair pulled back tightly, and her eyes held the confidence of someone accustomed to authority. "This is Admiral Theros of the Galactic Confederation, flagship Eternal Vigilance. We detected unusual energy signatures and came to investigate. Identify yourself." "Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force," she replied. "Your expedition has been expected, Admiral. Permission to dock at Outpost Sentinel is granted. The ambassador will meet with you." The communication ended abruptly, leaving the bridge crew in stunned silence. "Admiral," Vel Nera ventured, "humans are supposed to be extinct. The Cleansing War." "I know what the histories say," Theros interrupted. "But history, it seems, may have been written by those with reason to lie." The docking process revealed more surprises. The station's technology was clearly far more advanced than anything the Confederation possessed. Gravity control, atmospheric management, even the materials used in construction, all suggested a civilization thousands of years ahead of their own. A delegation of 10 officers accompanied Theros to the meeting, each representing a different Confederation species. They were escorted through pristine corridors by silent, armored figures that Theros assumed were human soldiers, though their faces were hidden behind opaque visors. The conference room they entered was spacious, dominated by a large, circular table. Waiting for them was an older human female, her hair streaked with gray, wearing a simple black uniform without insignia. Ambassador Elena Reyes. She introduced herself. "Welcome to Outpost Sentinel, Admiral Theros. You're the commander we spoke with earlier," Theros observed. "Commander, Ambassador, my roles are fluid as needed," she said with a slight smile. "Please, be seated. We have much to discuss." Once they were all situated, Reyes activated a holographic display in the center of the table. It showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with a significant portion, nearly a quarter of the entire spiral arm, highlighted in blue. "Human territory," she explained, "hidden in plain sight for nearly 3 millennia. "Impossible," sputtered Counselor Zrav, a methane-breathing Pertaxian. "Humans were a pre-spaceflight species when the cleansing war occurred. Is that what your histories teach?" Reyes asked, her expression neutral. "That humans barely achieved orbit before being righteously exterminated for our aggressive tendencies." She manipulated the display, and the image shifted to show ancient footage, clearly genuine, of massive human fleets engaging in battle against early Confederation forces. The technology displayed was impressive even by current standards. Humanity had colonized 24 star systems before we encountered the species that would later form your Confederation, Rice continued. "We were not primitives. We were rivals." "If what you say is true," Theros said carefully, "how have you remained hidden for so long? And why reveal yourselves now?" Ambassador Reyes leaned forward. "When the founding species of your Confederation realized they couldn't defeat us conventionally, they resorted to biological warfare. An engineered pathogen that targeted human DNA nearly wiped us out. Earth was quarantined, declared sterilized. Those of us who survived fled to the fringes, into regions like this one that your ships couldn't navigate." She paused, her eyes sweeping across the delegation. "As for why now, your Confederation has expanded to our borders. Conflict is inevitable unless we establish diplomatic relations, and frankly, after 3,000 years, we're tired of hiding. The Council must be informed," Theros said, mandibles clicking nervously. "This changes everything we thought we knew about galactic history." "The Council already knows," Rice said flatly, "or at least the representatives of the founding species do. The Pertaxians, Vigilanti, and Diluvians. Your people, Admiral, have always known the truth. It's been the galaxy's best-kept secret, passed down through generations of leadership." Theros felt his scales bristle with indignation. "That's a serious accusation, Ambassador." "It's not an accusation. It's a fact." Reyes manipulated the display again, and a series of classified Confederation documents appeared. Documents that Theros, despite his high rank, had never seen. "We've had infiltration agents within your government for centuries. We know exactly what your leaders have hidden." The delegation erupted in shocked murmurs and accusations. Some demanded to leave immediately. Others called for verification of Reyes's claims. Theros raised all 4 hands for silence. "Ambassador," he said when quiet had been restored, "if what you say is true, what are humanity's intentions now?" "Revenge." Reyes smiled thinly. "If revenge were our goal, Admiral, this wouldn't be a diplomatic meeting. It would be an ultimatum, or worse." She stood and walked to the viewport, gesturing for them to join her. As they approached, the massive window cleared to reveal what had been hidden beyond. A vast armada of human warships, thousands strong, stretching as far as the eye could see. "This is just one battle group," Reyes said quietly. "One of dozens stationed throughout what you call the Void of Silence. We could have reclaimed our place in the galaxy by force at any time in the last millennium. Instead, we chose patience." Theros felt a chill pass through his body. The military might on display dwarfed anything the Confederation could muster. Had humans wanted war, they could have launched it without warning. "What do you want?" he asked simply. "Recognition, reparations, and the truth to be told," Rise replied. "It's time for the galaxy to know what really happened during the cleansing war. It's time for humanity to return from exile." As Theros gazed out at the human fleet, he knew the Confederation stood at a crossroads. The lies of the past had finally caught up with them, and humanity had returned, not as the primitive savages of propaganda, but as an advanced civilization that had chosen diplomacy over vengeful annihilation. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Reckoning. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Confederation had never been so crowded. Representatives from all 127 member species packed the tiered seating that surrounded the central speaking platform. Emergency sessions had been called before, but never with such urgency, never with such fear permeating the air. Admiral Theros stood at attention beside the human delegation. Ambassador Elena Reyes had insisted on his presence, calling him a diluvian of integrity, words that now made him a pariah among his own kind. The evidence she had provided about the true history of human Confederation relations had been irrefutable, and Theros had made the difficult choice to stand with truth rather than comfortable lies. High Chancellor Zexper, an ancient Pertaxian whose breathing apparatus wheezed with each inhalation, called the session to order. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Elena Reyes of Earth." The chamber fell silent as Reyes took the central platform. Unlike the simple uniform she had worn on the station, today she was dressed in formal diplomatic attire, a midnight blue suit adorned with symbols that Theros now knew represented human military achievements and scientific advancements. "Esteemed representatives," she began, her voice calm yet carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. 3,000 years ago, the species that would later form this confederation attempted to eradicate mind from the galaxy. Today, I stand before you to announce that humanity has not only survived but thrived, and we have come to reclaim our rightful place among the stars. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many of the younger species, those who had joined the Confederation centuries after the Cleansing War, looked confused. They had been taught that humans were little more than a cautionary tale, a primitive species whose aggression had necessitated their removal. For proof of our claims, Rice continued, I direct your attention to the evidence packets being distributed to each delegation. They contain unaltered historical records from both human archives and Confederation classified databases. Databases that your founding species have kept hidden even from most of you. The chamber erupted as representatives accessed the data. Images of a thriving human interstellar civilization, technological achievements that had rivaled or surpassed early Confederation capabilities, and most damning, the classified orders for the deployment of biological weapons against civilian human populations. This is outrageous, bellowed Councillor Draz, the Silanti representative. These documents are clearly forgeries. They are authenticated by quantum signatures that cannot be falsified, Rise replied evenly. As further proof, I offer this. She activated a small device on her wrist, and a holographic display appeared above the chamber. It showed real-time footage of a massive human fleet emerging from stealth mode in orbit around the Confederation capital world. Ships larger than any in the Confederation Navy, technology that made their best defenses look primitive by comparison. At this moment, Rice said, similar human fleets are revealing themselves throughout Confederation space. Your long-range communications are temporarily disabled to prevent panic. We mean no harm. This is merely to demonstrate that had we wanted revenge, we could have taken it at any time. Chancellor Zexper's breathing apparatus wheezed more rapidly. This is an act of war. No, Rice countered firmly. This is a demonstration of restraint. The founding species of your Confederation committed genocide against my people. By any measure of justice, we would be entitled to retaliation. Instead, we offer peace with conditions. The chamber had fallen deadly silent now, every representative transfixed by the human ambassador and the overwhelming military might she commanded. First, Rice stated, "The truth must be acknowledged. The historical records will be corrected to accurately reflect that humans were an advanced spacefaring civilization systematically targeted for extermination. Second, the three founding species, Pertaxians, Atlanti, and Diluvians, will acknowledge their crimes and provide reparations to be determined by a neutral interstellar tribunal. Third, humanity will be granted full membership in the Confederation, with appropriate representation reflecting our population and territorial holdings. And finally, she concluded, those responsible for perpetuating this 3,000-year conspiracy will face justice." Chancellor Zexper lurched from his seat. "You cannot dictate terms to us. The Confederation will not be." His words were cut short as his breathing apparatus suddenly failed. As he clutched at his throat, a human male stepped forward from the delegation. He was older than Reyes, with silver hair and cold eyes. "That was a demonstration," the man said, holding up a small device. "Your breathing apparatus is now functioning again, Chancellor, but understand this. We could have permanently disabled it. We could have disabled all life support throughout this facility. We did not." Ambassador Reyes nodded to the man, who stepped back. "This is General Marcus Chen, our military liaison. His point, though dramatically made, is valid. We come in peace, but we come from a position of strength. Choose carefully how you proceed." The chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives shouted questions, accusations, and pleas for calm. Some demanded immediate military action, while others called for acceptance of the human terms. Admiral Theros watched as the representatives of the founding species huddled together, mandibles clicking and membranes pulsating in agitated communication. They knew, as he did, that the humans could have destroyed the Confederation had they wished. The display of force was overwhelming, but the restraint was even more impressive. Eventually, a fragile order was restored. Several hours of heated debate followed, with factions quickly forming. To Theros' surprise, many of the younger species sided with humanity, expressing outrage at being kept ignorant of the true history. The founding species found themselves increasingly isolated. When the final vote came, it was decisive. The Confederation would accept the human terms. Ambassador Reyes stood again on the central platform, her expression solemn. "Today marks a new beginning. Humanity does not return seeking dominance or vengeance. We return seeking justice and our rightful place in a galactic community." She paused, looking directly at the representatives of the founding species. 3,000 years ago, your ancestors feared our potential. They saw our rapid advancement, our adaptability, our determination, and they feared we would surpass them. So they tried to eliminate us before we could become a threat. Her voice grew stronger, but those very qualities they feared, our resilience, our ingenuity, our unwillingness to surrender, are what allowed us to survive. In trying to destroy us, they made us stronger. The chamber was silent now, every representative captivated by her words. "We could have returned with fire and vengeance," Rice continued. "Many among my people advocated for exactly that. But we chose a different path. We chose to return not as conquerors, but as equals. Not to destroy, but to rebuild. Not to repeat the mistakes of the past, but to create a better future." Theros felt a strange sensation in his chest, something like hope. The humans could have easily annihilated the Confederation. Instead, they had chosen mercy and diplomacy. It was not the action of the savage species he had been taught to fear. As the session concluded, Rice approached Theros privately. "Your honesty saved many lives today, Admiral. Your people's leadership would have chosen resistance, a resistance that would have been futile and deadly." "I simply followed the truth, Ambassador," Theros replied. "Though I confess, I am curious. If the Confederation had rejected your terms, what would humanity have done?" Rice smiled enigmatically. "Let us both be grateful we didn't have to find out." In the days that followed, human ships took up positions throughout Confederation space, not as conquerors, but as partners in a new galactic order. The truth of the cleansing war was broadcast to every world, and though there was anger and confusion, there was also a sense of justice finally being served. The species that had once sought to erase humanity from history now found themselves having to make room for them at the table, a powerful reminder that some forces cannot be contained, some spirits cannot be broken, and some crimes cannot remain hidden forever. Humanity had returned to reclaim their space, and the galaxy would never be the same again.